Water Guide Service. First fish of the day today. Largemouth on a jerkbait, a pink and white X-Wrap. And boy, has he got a mouthful of hooks. There, one fell out. We are on a West Metro Lake of the Twin Cities today, and pink and white 4-inch X-Wrap. Nice largemouth. And we are going to try to fish a little bit of everything today. We're going to fish some bass and pike early, and then we've got sunfish bedding and crappies finishing up spawning, so we'll try some of those later and just try to put together. We got, you can see in the west, we got storms coming this afternoon, so hope to get a good bite in this morning and catch bass, pike, sunfish, crappies, could catch a walleye or two, and could even see a muskie. Stay with us. Hey, on that jerkbait again, got a nice big old bluegill. He said bluegills are bedding, so I must have got a little too close to his bed and he drilled that 4-inch jerkbait. Hey there, I switched to a spinnerbait and got a nice largemouth here. Stay white 1/2-ounce spinnerbait. We'll go over tackle a little later in rods and reels, but it's a nice solid 2-pounder there. We'll get a photo of him and get him back. Alright, I just had a crappie and switched to a square bill crankbait here. Just had a crappie slash at it, get hooked in the head. Just pitching, this is the Rapala BX Brat. It's a balsa wood BX balsa. The square bill, a shallow diving one. We're just wobbling this over the tops of the weeds. And that crappie went after it. By a pretty nice largemouth. Get a picture of him. What we're fishing right now, we are fishing weed flats up where, just outside of hard bottom areas where sunfish are bedding, or bass would have bedded earlier, and we're catching a lot of nice male bass that are feeding up. They finished bedding a while ago, and now they're here feeding on the little female sunfish. Pike are in the same areas. We've seen a muskie, and we'll try for some of the sunfish a little bit later when the bass slow down. And there are some crappies in the weeds here too, so a little bit of everything. Bunch of weeds with him here too. We got a pike in there. Stuck his nose down into the weeds. Maybe he'll shake some of them off for me. Get a hold of him. Some of these weeds, I can actually see the fish. Not a big pike, but fun little bonus fish up here. They're up here in the weeds too, chasing those little sunfish around. We get bigger ones than that. We caught pike up to 40 inches on this lake. So we'll get back to it here. All right, we got another pike here on the spinnerbait. Then we're just on in the cabbage weeds, just out from the firmer bottom where the sunnies are bedding. Female sunnies are out in this cabbage. You can see them splash around. Where the pike and the bass are feeding. This is a 1/2-ounce Berkeley Power Bait spinnerbait. It's the basic white, silver willow leaf blade, gold Colorado blade. We're using a little liter of 20-pound test Vanish fluorocarbon to a barrel swivel to the 14-pound fire line that's on using a 7-foot. This is a St. Croix Mojo Bass. It's a medium heavy power, moderate fast action, so they got some good bend in the tip. And then a Abu Garcia Revo bait cast reel, kind of a medium speed bait cast reel. That softer rod is when you throw it out and you're retrieving the spinnerbait, and fish comes up behind and bass will come up and flare their gills and inhale that bait, that rod will give enough to let the bait get back into the fish's mouth before the rod loads up, so you get a good hook set. When you're moving baits horizontally at a good speed, you don't want a real stiff rod, or you'll wind up getting short struck and you'll wind up missing quite a few bites. All right, nice bass here again on that white spinner bait. Good one there. I'm gonna picture him and let him go. All right, and my son got a nice crappie here on the bass spinner bait. He's using kind of a mix of blue, white, and chartreuse. Well, that's a VMC spinner bait there, and that crappie drilled it. So nice one, bud. Catching everything on the bass baits: bass, pike, crappies, and sunfish. All right, my son with a male bluegill sunfish. We're kind of switching gears here now. We're moving up inside the weeds onto the harder bottom where the sunfish are bedding. I'm gonna try catching some of those. Hey there. So the wind is picking up because the storms are coming later, but we switched over to fishing the sunfish on the beds. There's a big serious pumpkin seed there. That's a beauty. For the panfish, we're trying a couple of techniques. This is just a roach jig. It's an ice fishing jig, but I like it, the 16th ounce in open water, hung under a slip float. And then we're also pitching a jig spinner. It's a 16th ounce VMC Moon Eye jig with a soft plastic, a 2-inch paddle tail on it, a Berkeley ripple shad, and then a safety pin style jig spinner, and just slow rolling that. All right, my son Parker here using that, we talked about that jig spinner. I think this looks like a bluegill pumpkin seed hybrid, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Nice fish. Looks a little bit like a bluegill, a little bit like a pumpkin seed. And he hit that jig spinner that we were talking about right there. Yeah. All right, we got storms starting to brew out to the west, so we're gonna call it quits here. Go back, have some lunch. Just a quick review. When we started the day fishing for bass and pike. We caught quite a few fish on this. Jerkbait's a good bait in June. Well, it's a good bait any time of the year, but I really like them in June. This is a Rapala X-Rap and a pink and white in the 4-inch size. And we did catch a sunfish on that and a crappie on that, as well as a lot of bass. Another bait we were using for bass and pike early was a spinner bait, 1/2 ounce. This is a Berkeley power bait, spinner bait in white. We were also catching them on kind of a sunfish pattern, white, green, and blue together. 1/2 ounce tandem blade, Colorado, and a willow. The jerk bait we were using, you can use spinning or casting gear, but you want to use a extra fast tip on the rod. So as you snap it, the rod doesn't give too much. And with that stiff rod tip and the fire line, the braid, you get all of the action of the jerk in. Pulling this spinner bait, we use a softer rod, a moderate fast action. This is a 7-foot medium heavy power, moderate fast action. Rod gives a little more when the fish comes up and inhales that spinner bait before the rod loads up, so the fish can get hooked. And 14-pound test line. We're using 10-pound test line for the jerk baits. We caught a lot of pike and bass on that. We caught some bass and a crappie on a Square bill crankbait, just a BX Brat from Rapala, balsa wood, shallow diver, dives about 2 to 3 feet down. So we were running that through the weed tops in the weed flats close to shore, using a 7-foot medium moderate action again. So as that crankbait swimming along and that fish comes up and inhales that bait, the rod will give quite a bit to let him get the bait in before the rod loads up, and you'll miss fewer fish that way. When we switched over to panfish, we were searching for them with this, I just call it a jig spinner, but it's just a little safety pin style spinner on a 16th ounce VMC Moon Eye jig, and then a 2-inch Berkeley ripple shad, just a fuse impregnated or a scent impregnated rip, kind of a paddle tail. When we found them, you could keep fishing that, but we also sat on them then, crappies and sunfish, using just a hair jig suspended under a slip float. This is a roach jig, popular for ice fishing, but I use the biggest size, the 16th ounce, under a slip float, especially for the sunfish on the beds, but crappies like it too. Using a 7-foot St. Croix Panfish Series rod with a fast tip, 4-pound test fire line, and then some fluorocarbon at the end there. And then a 8-foot with a softer action, moderate action. Again, a Panfish Series from St. Croix. You pull that jig spinner, same deal. That spinner's pulling along. The bait fish comes up behind and inhales the bait. That softer rod gives more, lets him get the bait in before it loads up, and you get him hooked. So we're gonna cut and run. We kept a few sunfish and crappies for, well, actually mostly crappies, I think, for lunch here. But we caught largemouth and pike and bluegills and pumpkin seeds and hybrids and crappies. I did not see a muskie today. That would have been the other thing that could have happened, but it just happens once in a while. We're gonna head back to the landing here for Parker Smyka behind the camera. I'm Troy Smyka from Great Day on the Water Guide Service. Thanks for watching this episode of Fishing and Hunting the North Country. Hope to see you at our next one. Until then, good luck, and I will see you out there somewhere.